What's going down? Thor back with another Thor's Thoughts. It's been a minute. I haven't done Thor's Thoughts since I was in Ohio, and that was over a month ago. So I figured, hey, it's about time, and luckily enough, I found something really weird and stupid to doing about. As you saw the title of the video, Freedom Fighters, Freedom Fighters The Ray, greatest or worst DC animated movie of all time. It probably is not either, but it's somewhere in between on both. It's just a weird movie. So apparently this was a CW Seed show, which I wasn't even aware CW Seed was a thing, but apparently it's like a streaming exclusive service for the CW. So I'm sure they're making buku bucks. I'm sure that's raking in the cash. But they had a show. They had a show on there called Freedom Fighters: The Ray, and they turned it into a movie. And it was in the family section of Redbox. Now, first, let me gripe at Redbox. Redbox. What the hell, man? The Ray should not have been in the family section. Freedom Fighters: The Ray should not have been in the family section. It shouldn't have. It wasn't rated, which I saw, but I was like, I have never heard of this property. I'm not familiar with this. It can't be that bad. Within the first 5 minutes, you have Nazis. You have people getting shot with blood. You have some dude's chest cavity getting ripped like completely open. And I sat down to watch this with 3 toddlers and 2 moms. So apparently, I'm an evil person. Now, I shut it off before the credits got over, and I mean the opening credits got over the first time I watched it, because it's not child appropriate. Like I said, no reason this movie should have been in the family section, but that's on Redbox. I'm not blaming you, DC. I'm blaming you for what you made. Now, was this bad? No. Was it necessary? Definitely not. Let's break it down. Let's unpack it. So it's about Ray, who is a guy who apparently is like a ray of light. Like do-ray, you know what I mean? But he flies around as like a light, but he kind of looks like the Flash in the air, and he kind of looks like a cross between Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, like his power sets. Not really his power sets, because he just literally shoots beams of light. It's really weird. And then there's these other heroes who I was not familiar with. There was Cisco from the Flash, then the Flash, but an evil version, who they called, Blitzkrieg, which I thought was wonderful. Then you had Black Arrow. So these guys are all the Third Reich. So, like I said, there was Nazis in the beginning, which made no sense to me, and it didn't make sense until later. But I knew it was. I inferred that Nazis had won the war, and like they were in control, and this was the resistance fighting the Nazi power lords, something like that. And Ray and his band of no-name heroes, except for Red Tornado. For some reason, Red Tornado was part of the group, which I was familiar with him, so I was like, cool, I'm good there. The rest of I had no idea who any of these people were. They all pretty much die in that first 5 minutes when the chest cavity thing and all the other stuff happens that I was talking about. So then you cut through the intro, and you get to like this dude who's at work with like what kind of looks like a Falcon ripoff character. And then Phantom Girl, I'll just call her Phantom Girl. We're a girl, and they're all at work, but they're normal people. So you're like, well, this is a different world, obviously. Because, at the end, before the opening credits rolled, Cisco from Flash CW threw the Ray, or what I later realized is the Ray, the dude with the light powers, threw him through a portal, and then credits, and now we're Different Earth with Different Ray, who's a homosexual, and it was really contrived the way they pandered to that whole side of the story, because he like lived at his parents' house, he hadn't come out, he was like in his 20s. It just didn't really seem like nowadays. It maybe seemed like maybe 10-15 years ago, maybe 5-10 years ago, maybe a little while ago. There was a lot of cliched tropes that I think were unnecessary, and they just kind of leaned on to be like edgy or, whatever. I'm not really sure, because I really didn't enjoy this movie at all. Like, I had zero enjoyment out of this, which begs the question why I kept it for 4 days from Redbox and tried to watch it no less than 5 occasions. Fell asleep 3, had to shut it off 2, made it through on the last attempt, literally right before I was going to bring it back. So you got this other Ray who's, like I said, he's a homosexual. He hasn't come out to his parents. He's like, got a crush on this dude he keeps seeing at the bar. His best friend is the Falcon ripoff from the other universe with the Nazis. We're still with each other, right? Good. So then he's at home and he's like gonna come out to his parents, but he doesn't. And he talks about meatloaf, and then he's on the phone in the backyard. And other Ray comes through the portal, gives him his powers. Oh, I forgot to mention at the end of the opening credit scene, Red Tornado gets like destroyed, and they have to take his brain out, his cortex, because if the Nazi superpowers get it. And I forgot to mention, there was a Nazi Supergirl, because they're not using Superman because he's not beating Superman. So they used a Nazi Supergirl, Nazi Flash, and Nazi Green Arrow, which they called Overgirl, stupid. Black Arrow, stupid. Blitzkrieg, amazing. But yeah, so fast forward to this point where Ray from the Nazi universe meets Ray from Earth 1, which, why do we got to be Earth 1? Come on, we're better than that. Meets Ray from Earth 1, gives him his powers, dies, and then he becomes a superhero, and he's like loving it, and he thinks then he like shakes down an elected official. He like blackmails a councilman or something like that who was going to shut down the department him and his buddies work for. There's a lot of weird, like borderline bad stuff that happens in this. And obviously, he meets the Flash and Green Arrow in our time, or in Earth 1's timeline. And then he does some heroing with them. They fight a giant robot. It's weak. All the fights are weak. I like nothing about this movie. I can't emphasize that enough, even though I spent way more time than necessary watching it. And I think it came out like a year ago. So that made me even more mad that I was even bothering. But whatever. So then Ray gets his... is like, oh yeah. So then Nazi Supergirl shows up at his house and takes the brain thing. And then once she takes the brain thing, then he like has to be a superhero and stop shaking down elected officials and God knows what else, using his superpowers to pick up dudes. I don't even know anymore. So then he goes to the Nazi world where all his buddies were. Let me finish real quick. And then, oh yeah, I'll help you put your socks on as soon as I finish. As soon as I'm done, I'll help you put your socks on. So he goes to the Nazi world and he decides he's going to be a hero because they got the brain thing, or Overgirl, the Nazi Supergirl, stole the brain thing. They go back. He comes back. He's like, I'm going to be the champion you guys need. Give some giant, rah-rah speech at the end. Oh, and throughout the whole movie, his brother was like a football player who went into the military and died. So he's like trying to live up to that standard. And there's a lot of weird, unnecessary crap in this show, and not a lot of good stuff that I tune in for, like action and fighting and, like story. I mean, good story. So he goes back to Naziland. He becomes the hero they need. He obviously beats Nazi Supergirl, and then his buddies end up beating Blitzkrieg and Black Arrow. That's lazy writing, people. And then they win, champion the day. And then they're off to, the Third Reich's still way too strong because they just beat their 3 biggest people or something like that. I hope this never gets a sequel. I won't watch it. I don't care. Honestly, I wasted a ton of my life watching this. And now you've wasted your life watching this video, watching me talk about watching this. So you're welcome. Thor's Thoughts. Till the next one. Deuces. Say goodbye, Levi.
What?
Exactly.